Welcome back, folks, to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Six with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming here with you on the TSWS Gaming YouTube channel. And today I have another phenomenal episode for you guys today, hanging out with Mr. Rick from Fextralife. What's cracking, brother? Thank you so much for accepting this offer and being here with me today on my channel. Tell me, brother, how you been doing?
Yeah, doing good. Lots crack-a-lacking these days, man. But I thank you for having me on, and I love to talk games and hang out. So let's go.
Man, I was talking to you before we actually got here live, and man, like I had to stop you. I had to just be like, yo, hit the brakes, because you were spitting some absolute fire about like being a developer, working or being in game development, and also now the position that you currently have, with Fextralife and everything like that. I think you had some really cool words of wisdom. But before I get into that type of stuff, so everybody can hear that dope stuff that I was listening to before the show started, I want you just to kind of lay out, your social media stuff, where people can find you and everything like that, and then also tell me what you've been playing as of lately.
Sure. So you can find me at Rick5292 on Twitter. I'm Rick5292 on Xbox. I pretty much use Rick5292 for many things. Discord, it's Rick. Oh, who cares? Bottom line is that's where you can find me. But also, I help run the Fextralife social media account. So at Fextralife for just about everything on all platforms. And yeah, that's mostly where you find me. I'm kind of more quiet these days on socials, but I'm around. You can still get me if you want. You did.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, yeah, dude. And you were very, very easy to work with too, which was really nice. Very just comfort, just very comfortable to speak to, and to, I mean, you were very specific on what you needed and everything like that. So when I gave you the email and gave you the list and everything like that, it was just very simple and not a whole lot to cater to. So that was very nice.
Yeah, try not games. You said, right? Talking games.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking all sorts of stuff. So as of right, so like right before the episode started, I actually asked you, what was like the very first console that was like meaningful to you growing up, and you said the first big one was the Atari.
Yeah, I think it was the Atari 8600, and that was when I was introduced to the clash of Donkey Kong and Mario. That was game over for me. I knew from there on out this was going to be one of my biggest hobbies. From young to old.
So that broke you into gaming.
Sure did.
And you had that at home, I'm guessing, just regular.
So the thing is, it was at Christmas over my grandfather's. We always went in his basement, opened up the presents by the tree, and there's this thing. What is this thing? He hooks it up. I'm like, what is this? Being able to play games. It's the first time I ever experienced that. And I have always loved a challenge on so many levels in my life, and also like the competitive nature. And so Atari 8600 didn't hold your hand. There's no mercy. These are the rules. You play by the rules, and whatever happens, happens, So it was good. It was good.
All right. So that was pretty dope. Now I'm just kind of curious as to like what, like how did they know that you were into that? Like how did they know that you were going to want something like that? Because because parents sometimes are very in tune with their kids, and sometimes they're just kind of shooting in the, kind of shooting in the sky a little bit. Was there some sort of like was your family going to like did your dad take you out to like the arcades, or were you into that type of stuff, or did they notice that you were playing games over at like a friend's house or something like that?
So I think it was more of, maybe that was more trending at the time, right? Like this would be a good idea for the kids. And it sure was. So I really wasn't. I didn't do any gaming of any kind before that.
Wow.
But that's, like you said, that's what kind of broke me in. And then from there was Nintendo and uh, SNES, Nintendo 64, GameCube. Hmm.
Sweet. So at what point in this were you like, man, this thing is really growing. This is like getting to the point where like everybody knows gaming because like the Atari was pretty cool. Nintendo really made it even more popular and sought after
Oh,
and
well,
whatnot.
it's Sega, right? Remember that? Sega.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Let's
those
go.
were the first console wars, man. Nintendo or Sega, and Sega had some cool things. Like Sega's like the PlayStation of its kind, and Nintendo is almost like Xbox in ways. That's a whole nother. That's like a tangent, but I'm just saying it was really kind of funny. But like at the end of the day, it was just fun to play games, man. So like I'd go over my cousins, they had the Sega. They'd come over, we had the Nintendo. It just worked, you know. Just worked.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely loved the Sega. My probably most memorable game that like I always think of, the first thing I think of when people say Sega. I know a lot of people say Sonic or something, like that. I say Road Rash. Road Rash 2 in particular was
Never played it.
the Sega game, man. That I'm surprised you've never played that game.
Yeah, no, you know what's funny is I don't even remember that one. I don't even remember at all. So yeah,
It's
old
funny,
school stuff. Yeah,
whenever I say Road Rash, a lot of people refer to the 3DO, but I think of the Sega Genesis when I think of that game. But another few bangers, of course, was Mortal Kombat. Um,
of
that was a
course.
yeah, that one's like a no brainer. NBA Jam, a lot of like the acclaim games.
NBA Jam, man, of course, man. We played the Tecmo games, Super Bowl. I can't remember now if that one was on Sega, but like I loved playing so many of those old school games, man. They were good times. Hmm. You know why they were really good times though? Because it was only local co-op, local multiplayer, local everything. There's something real special about that. Uh, Getting together and playing the games, man. You know what I mean? Then you're having the snacks, you're hanging out. In this case, it was the parents. They were hanging out doing their thing, and us kids were in the basement doing our thing.
Absolutely. Man, those are some stark times you're giving me. You're making me remember a lot of moments where it was just us, sitting on our feet in the basement, you know, sitting back playing a bunch of video games. Somebody comes through, with the chicken nuggets or something like that, and knocks over the console or something like that.
Yeah,
You
sure,
you
sure.
remember the people ruining your damn experience. You'd be like, a half hour into a game and somebody comes over and just nudges it a little bit and it just
Over the cord, just slamming the console on the ground because he just tripped over the cord and took the console with it. You know?
mm. I used to really get one of my pet peeves was going over friends' houses and seeing their console on top of their TV. I was like,
Oh yeah,
how do you do that?
we
Like,
did that too because the TVs were big.
yeah, but
We
the
did that.
cord goes down the center of it, and you gotta like move the cord to
Yeah,
look
yeah,
around.
right. You're right.
That used to
Right,
drive me insane when I went over to people's houses and seen that. I was just like,
right.
geez, what is happening? But
Yeah.
anyways, like when did you decide to more or less get into like the business side of it? Like obviously you had a passion for games ever since you were young. But was this something that like you even seen getting into in high school? Was it something that you didn't see until clear after, high school, maybe if you went into secondary school or whatnot? Um, I don't know.
There's definitely
Tell
a
me.
story behind that. So in middle school, that's when I started thinking of the idea. Now then, there was hardly anything. It was incredibly difficult to find because there's nothing online at that point, right? Like when we got a computer, I can't remember when I was a teenager. It was the first time you ever saw a computer. We had typewriters and everything before that, right? Like so there was not. So what happened though is I remember telling my stepmother I wanted to work in the gaming industry because she brings it up and we laugh about it. But she laughed at me when I was really young that I wanted to do that. When I was really young, the only thing I had motivation for was playing games and playing football with my friends outside. And any sport, actually. I just love being outside, running around, and playing guns, man. You got to hit. Most boys when they're younger, man, you're always playing gun games outside in the neighborhood. Those were great. Now today you say gun game and people are like, wait, real guns? Like, no, stop. We're having fun. Like, go like this, bam. Because back then it was much more innocent. We just had fun, just imagining and combat. Like we did our own little video games outside. We made our own activities, And my point is, like when I started and went into high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I hated going to school. It was tough in the family environment too, and that usually makes it tough to be in school. And the only thing I liked at school was gym. So I don't know what I want to do. I tried to go I sat down one day and with this guy about computer programming because it was a shadowing day. So now we're fast forwarding and I'm doing the shadowing day and I'm like, man, this computer programming stuff is boring. I can't do it. I don't want to work in the gaming industry, right? Because that was one of the only ways. There was no such thing as like influencers and all this stuff. So right. I'm like, it's all on shutdown, man. And I went to college for a semester, dropped out because I'm like, I can't do this. This is a waste of time for me. It's one of the best decisions that I ever made was dropping out of college. What a waste of time for not everybody, but it's more of a business, man. So I was so happy to leave it. And my dad instilled really good work ethic in me. So I'm grinding. I know this is a long story, but
no, I'm happy to just keep going. You're doing just fine.
I was a garbage man. I was doing this, a little bit of that. I was whatever I could do to make money. I moved out when I was 18, so I had to grow up fast. And then I was going to work at a car wash, and they wanted me to dry. I wanted to dry cars, and this guy thought I was really good at sales. I'd never done sales, so all of a sudden I started doing all these sales jobs because this guy found some talent in me I didn't know I had. And one thing started leading to another. So now I'm working in an indirect company for Verizon. Many years later, married, have a couple kids. And I work this indirect company, cellular sales. We sell Verizon phones, right? Tablets and stuff. So I became a member through selling then Windows phones came to Verizon. So I became a member of Microsoft Expert Zone. I don't know if you're familiar.
I'm not.
Microsoft Expert Zone was people who work in like retail in the gaming industry, not like developers, like just retail. It's all retail focused and selling like Windows phones again. So that was, because I saw a Microsoft rep, I would love to see that guy because he has no idea the impact and what happened because he gave me his business card and signing up for that membership because you had to send a pay stub from my cell phone company so that no one could get discounts for games on this website of Microsoft Expert Zone. And you would take courses of games. And I started telling people like, guys, sign up for this because you'll get discounts. And then boom, one day there was a contest. First 300 people that sign up can go to the Microsoft press conference at E3. And I'm like, wait, what? I have always wanted to go to E3. I am going to, I was always willing to take chances. Like I told you, probably before this. And take a chance. I'm like, I don't, my wife knows, like, we didn't have a lot of money at the time. And I was able to bring a +1. And the +1 also worked at cellular sales. We're like, and we got in. Like, I saw it it went to my junk mail. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to E3. But I didn't have a pass to E3. I didn't have a pass. I went to just a press conference. That's what we had planned. And I can't get into the whole story because it would take forever. But the bottom line is, my friend even helped me front some money so I could pay him back. And I started going to E3. I found ways to go to E3. And you know what? I'm just going to be honest. I faked it till I made it. But I'll tell you something. I met the right people. I had people that helped me because you know what? People who are honest, most of them, it was, at that time, it was, maybe not most, but many of them, it was who they knew that got in. Or they got the right application in at the right time. Or, or maybe it was because they had a really good degree. I didn't have that. But I did have other skills that I was able to help bring to the table. And I tried doing things and I failed. I tried creating like a company that we were going to just like write reviews and articles and stuff. And that failed. But one day, Warhorse Studios, they make a tweet about they need help setting up a party at E3. And I responded, said I'll do it. Long story short, I met them at another E3, and then I got
No,
it
no, no,
later.
no. What do you mean by I'll do it? Like, hold up. They need to set up what again?
A party. Sorry, so it was a party for their game. They wanted to do it outside of E3, but it was during E3 in June in LA, to have a party to go to, so their fans from the community could go to it. And because they're going to be at E3, they'll have it. It was at a pub, right around the corner from E3, right? And it was just a random post because they're in the Czech Republic. They need someone in the United States, right? So I just responded real quick saying, I would love to set it up for you. I would love to set up a party to show off your game, because I was already a fan of their game. I saw the trailer. My brother-in-law was a fan of Kingdom Come Deliverance. He's like, Rick, you got to go check it out at E3. Before I even met these guys, like, all this one thing after another led up. And then I started talking to them on Skype. We just hit it off, you know?
Wow.
Just
So
like,
I'm wondering, like, how you went about setting this thing up. So, like, what was the title that you held at that time when you were offering to set something up for somebody?
this was all just me being happy to be a part of it. I had no title, no nothing. I didn't have a job in the gaming industry. I was still working at cellular sales at the time, selling phones and tablets. But it's one thing that I think is a God-given gift, and we all have it deep down inside if we can find it. But if you believe in something strong enough, it's gonna happen. And what I did is, here's the funny thing. I had never even been to a pub before. I don't even know what it's like to get a buzz. I'm only just stressing the point of, I'm like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna set this up at a pub for them. And I just started calling people. We need getting audio set up, getting the TVs in there. They wanted they actually had a budget so people could go in there and drink on the house. They paid for the alcohol at the pub. I mean, it gets even crazier. We had like HEMA warriors there. They said, hey, can you reach out to this guy and that guy? And I did. And these guys are historical European martial art fighters, right? So they did a fight at the pub, like that one that was like kind of scripted a little bit.
Right.
The party was, as they say, lit. And all I did was I just started calling. That's all. I figured things out as I went. My heart was all in. So they said, we'd love to do something for you. And I said, hey, just give a copy of the game. I don't care. How about that? Just a copy of the game. The PR manager got in touch with me months later, said, Rick, we want you to move to Czech Republic. Right? And
no way.
If I was single, I'd be there. I'd be like, hey, listen, let's go. I'll be there tomorrow. It just wasn't going to work out with my wife and kids, right?
Sure.
A few more months go by. Rick, I'm going to get you to work for us in the U.S. And I was the only one that worked for them on the U.S. side remotely. Very blessed. And I was able to do that and still do my cellular gig for a little bit. And then Fextralife came and all that. But yeah, Warhorse Studios is, I'm skipping ahead because I know there was a question about, favorite studio. I have two, but they're always going to be one because I'm biased because they're the best. I do have a better answer for that, though, if we get into it, but about my other favorite studio. But yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's a pretty amazing story, man, of how you got into that stuff. I mean, that's definitely different. It's not traditional in any sense.
No, and I'm not traditional.
Like, so where did this kind of need to be in gaming kind of come from like that? Like, it seems like you were just willing to do anything. I mean, what was it? Anything to go to E3, or was it anything just to be in gaming?
At first, it was like, when I was younger, it was like, I want to work in gaming in the industry. But then I just made a more realistic goal. I'm going to do whatever I can to get to E3, And I'll even give you a full disclosure. Even one year, there was a guy selling tickets to E3, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know who this guy is. I talked to him. I'm going. Like, I always found a way to go. And when I did, it wasn't to mess around. It was like, I want to meet people there. And you know what's crazy? And you wouldn't be surprised how many stories that were similar to mine. People that's like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to find a way to do it. I'm going to do it professionally, in the sense of be respectful. Like, when I was there, I always had this state of gratitude at E3. I talked to the developers, and I had this gratitude come over me, and I realized I started caring more about the people than even the games itself, right? Because that's the whole reason for gaming, is that it's not even the gaming itself. It's that it's supposed to pull people away from all the BS and find a common interest.
Right.
So when people are arguing about console wars or politics or you got to believe what we believe or why is this not in gaming? Forget you, man. Like when I played games, that wasn't even a thought. I used to work hard just to go to at my grandfather's his business. My brother and I worked hard just to get Street Fighter for the Super Nintendo, and then back then it's actually $69.99 for Super Nintendo,
Right.
$70, and we just had our friends come over. I had one guy. He used to bully and beat up my brother, and we used to get in fights. But then we would find common ground, even after we hit each other, and we play video games. We put it aside, and then we develop relationships. And that guy's still my friend to this day because things change too, you know.
Yeah, it's insane.
Give me for bouncing around, man. But I'm always like this. Woo!
No. This is fantastic. It's entertaining for me, and interesting as well, just because it's kind of inspiring in a way. Because sometimes, I think a lot of us can attest that we believe we can do something, and then we kind of put it off and forget about it. And then a few years go by and you're like, oh crap, I wanted to do that, but I never really well, it's not that you never cared, it's just that you always found a reason not to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that what you were saying and everything just now, very interesting, pretty inspiring, and it makes me wonder how something like that could function in today's world, because today's world's a lot different than yesterday's world. I mean, just this E3 just got canceled. A lot of people that were maybe planning on doing that idea that you were planning on, that or that you did prior. Oh, I'm just gonna go down and see what happens. I'm gonna find my way in. Well, there's no way in now because there's no show, and a lot of these things are going digital now. So the show is in your computer chair or on your couch. It's not in person. And even and even a lot of the biggest, people in gaming and whatnot are doing the exact same thing you were doing, going to the YouTube channel and watching the show. So I gotta ask, as somebody that's in that industry, like, how do you see somebody with the lack of college, the lack of like ability to get to a conference or something like this because it's so like tightly kept? And if you do have like a show like a Summer Games Fest, like Jeff Keighley has or something like that, it's like invite only, damn near, right? So how does somebody break into something that's even more locked down than it was prior?
That's a great question because we used to call it like the land of opportunity, and it's definitely more difficult now than ever. And then in other respects, the digital has opened up so many things to where I can even work from home because, that's one of the pros. There will always be pros and cons to things. A big con of not having an E3 set up again is that it's what we were talking about earlier about the gaming is not just powerful because of gaming. That's actually more of an illusion in a sense because, correct me if I'm wrong, but like even an influencer needs a community. Everybody needs a community of some sort. And even if it's online, sure, I always will say it's better in person no matter what it is, but that's what brings people together. So the more you do digital, you take away from that community feel of getting together. And there is nothing more psychologically beneficial than to greet each other and give each other a handshake or a hug. Like you need that. And in the industry, I've landed many good relationships, both on the Warhorse side and Fextralife side. One guy I met, I talked to him for 5 minutes, sir. And I don't feel like just putting him out there on blast, but bottom line is we worked with him. We became the official wiki of a game. We did some other work with him when he went to another studio, and we became friends. After a 5-minute conversation, I could only talk to him for 5 minutes, and we just followed up after that. If I had never met him in person, and I have countless stories of even ways we've gotten, you know, additional content or coverage at Fextralife from the in-person meetings. Video calls are great, but there is nothing like being in person, man. So it's going to be really hard for someone. They're going to have to like really grow their social media profiles, but you can't be afraid to ask. You have to be willing to stick yourself out there. And if you're afraid to fail, then you will always fail.
Hey, that's a fact. And that's why I'm out here hollering at people to get on this show and do all this type of stuff, is just because I just want to be part of that community. I mean, it has really nothing to do with like money. I mean, I could stop doing this and be fine. And, the wife wouldn't care. I'm not making any dollars from any of this stuff. I've been doing it for about 1.5 years. I just love it. I love gaming. I love talking about gaming. I love staying up all night playing video games. Like it's just what I enjoy, and my family has my back. So like it's just like I really hope to continue, and I don't really hope to get big for any kind of monetary reason whatsoever. I want to get big enough so I can like see some of these people that are working on these games learn more about the process of what it takes, being able to be clear with the audience that comes through, with my experiences, as long as I'm not under any kind of guidelines to not talk about something, right? I've always just found it so intriguing. So like I find myself Tuesday through Friday every week just talking about games on my channel. And I don't care how many people show up. I don't care how many likes it gets. And the only thing that I hope to do is to at least hopefully either make someone's day, or at the bare minimum feel happy with what I just put forward. So I mean, I'm in it for the long haul, no matter how it goes. Really,
Yes.
I'm just happy to have this opportunity, because I know there's a lot of people. I remember just a couple years ago, it was just like what I was saying earlier. I wanted to do it, but I just didn't do it, and it frustrated me to the point where I was just like, you know what, screw it. I'm buying a PC. I'm buying all of this stuff that I'm so unfamiliar with, and I'm just gonna learn it. I'm gonna screw around with this crap on OBS and on DaVinci Resolve and Canva and all, and I'm gonna download all these weird apps, UCut and everything, and just figure it out from scratch, and just start messing with stuff. I mean, if you go back to my early videos, bro, the audio on a lot of them was very questionable. The way the screen looked, very questionable as well. There was just so many things that I didn't know that I don't even think about anymore. It's insane.
Yeah.
Man, so back to you though. How long do you think that you are going to be in this? Like, do you think that this is something that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life? Or is this just something that you're going to do for, up until you feel like, okay, the passion's gone, Do you think the passion will ever be gone?
I don't think so. I mean, and I say that, and the only little form of hesitancy is because things can change at any given point. But the thing is, having kids helps me a little bit, because like I don't play nowhere near what I used to. Especially when I have, with my wife and kids. If I want to balance out time hanging out with them, hanging out with my wife my wife is so done by the end of the day that I got to spend time with her, at the end of the day where she's at least able to relax with me and hang out. So when that all is said and done, I might only beat a handful of games a year. And I used to, beat a couple, 2-3 games a month, right? But now with my son, we're playing Tiny Tina Wonderlands, which is okay. It could be better, but it's local co-op.
It sure could be. But yeah,
you,
local co-op is very important.
Yeah, then we'll be playing the Last Aura crew together. We play WWE 2K23.
Wow, that's a good.
And because of that, and because my kids, they love to hear about what I do. They think I'm cool at times, and sometimes I'm not so cool when it comes to discipline. But then like tell them I talk to Nintendo, and they're so excited about Tears of the Kingdom, and get to tell them what I do at events. Like eventually one day, one or two of them might want to work in the industry, so I could see even working with them. So and Fextralife is such a good company to work for. So was Warhorse. So the whole point being with that is it's more about the people and the community aspect that I enjoy. As much as I love the gaming part, it's working for these companies that make it very special, and it's the community that will probably always keep me in the business.
All right. Well, before I go to the community, I'm curious about how certain things kind of work within the industry that you're in. So you said previously before Fextralife, you worked at a few different companies and whatnot, and I want to know, like, what is something like was there ever a time where you seen a development of a game and you're just like, man, this is so far away from the vision? Because like all right, let me be straightforward. Do you think that there is a lot of pandering in gaming to appease the crowd other than make the IP that they wish to do? Like, for instance, I feel like the most recent Halo Infinite, although it's a very good game in my opinion, I really liked it, I really enjoyed it. We do see there's a lot of parts of the game, sure, that got ripped out of it. There is a lot of direction that seems like they took from the fans instead of their own direction. What do you kind of think about all that stuff? I know we talked about it just a teensy bit before we got on the show. I kind of want you to let everybody know not only what you said to me, but also, the answer to that question.
So if I had to say like yes or no, I would say yes. To the degree, it depends on the developer. It depends on the PR that's with the team. Because marketing and PR obviously have a lot of say about certain things, even though they're not like even, I'm considered a game dev, even though I don't do coding. When I was with Warhorse, they said, you're a game dev because you're a part of the team and everyone who's on the team is a developer. Even though I'm technically not a developer, being on the community side, I'm at the forefront with Toby when we were, working together on Kingdom Come Deliverance. And the PR today and the way gaming, it's two things. On the one hand, I think PR wasn't as good as it used to be. And it makes it really difficult, though, for us on the PR side because of how fragile, not necessarily even people are, but the atmosphere of what social media wants you to think that people are. Because I stepped away talking on Twitter and stuff like that, not because it was so quote unquote negative, just because I just didn't care to as much. I realized that even keeping up with the algorithm of Twitter and getting more followers, you have to be very active. You can make posts and that, you learn about algorithms on LinkedIn, Twitter, and, Facebook or whatever. And you gotta be active to be making sure that all the people are found, you see it. Cause most of the time, if you're not active, you put a random post, it's not going to really be seen, even when you get the hashtags, but that's a whole nother thing. The point is, I think today, we as fans have become too spoiled and ungrateful. So it falls on us. We all have to look in the mirror because we expect almost perfection. But what we don't realize is indie studios, when they make a game, they only have so much money they can afford to spend before the game has to come out, whether there's bugs or not. At some point, they have to, because guess what happens if the game doesn't come out and they run out of a budget? Nobody gets paid. Now, I would ask the fan, do you work for free? Would you ever work for free? You would never. Not even at a gaming studio, because everyone thinks it's all like perfect. But you still have to work with people, so you still know how to get along with people. And you know, not everyone who works together is always going to get along. In fact, I didn't always get along with my PR manager because we loved each other. I love my wife. I don't always get along with my wife because we love each other, and we also know each other's flaws, if you will, and we work together.
You know how to make somebody tick too.
Yeah, you know how to make someone tick. What if you have a real bad, stressful day? What if you get, you know, we try not to let it get under skin, but what if a fan says something that's like, man, I could smack this person if I would. You know, let me tell you something. Anyone who's honest who works in the industry always has those moments because you're a human. Doesn't mean you act on it, but we're all humans. So I'm just saying, I think the unfortunate part is there's such ridiculous expectations. And I understand there's certain games that they show it off and maybe a certain with frame, you know, 60 FPS, and you know where I'm going with that, or something else. And I'm not even trying to knock on it. It's that no one really understands the business unless you're inside the business, unless you're actually talking, you know.
Let me go ahead and ask you a question then. Just off of that thought, so we don't forget about it. You were just talking about a certain game a little bit with the whole 60 FPS thing, and I'm kind of curious, as a person that's worked in the industry, like when you see somebody say, we're giving you this, but implementing this later, what does that say to you mentally from having been in the industry before?
Well, there's two things. One is, regardless of our opinion even about that said game, you know, we're not on the team. We don't know what's happened. We don't know what kind of setbacks. We also have to realize there's things that communication with Sony and Microsoft that can influence things, and leaving it at that kind of thing. But like, sure. I think ultimately, and I'm, you know, forgive me because I do tend to bounce around. So thank you for bringing it back and keeping me grounded.
Sure.
But I would say a lot of it comes to, like, when I was in working on Kingdom Come Deliverance, Toby and I really wanted to be transparent. So we'd rather just, if something either wasn't going to make the cut, either one, you don't try and emphasize that thing, or two, you just say this is how it happens. But I can't say that for any other studio or any other team because I'm not working with them and I don't know. And I have more understanding and empathy because you know, you could have some really, like, people putting in extra hours and overtime, and then there's the crunch thing. By the way, people, get a grip, because every studio, when it comes down close to launch, works overtime. It is what it is. That happens, you know, and all of this plays in, though, right? Then they can't even hardly talk about anything anymore, because then you have some people in press that want to post the negative thing. Breaking news, this, and that. So you can see how hard it is to do PR. And I'm not trying to play the victim because I'm a fan too.
No, you're just speaking your mind. Just going ahead, bro. Yeah, you're fine.
But the problem is that the fans only see it from their perspective. And I don't care. It's like, even myself, if I take myself out of the business and put myself as a fan, it's okay to be disappointed. You have every right to say your opinion.
Absolutely.
But when you start to criticize these guys, you better do it with constructive criticism. I mean, you're free to do what you want. I don't care. I think people should be able to express themselves on social media and shouldn't be worried about what they believe in, and you express it. I think they should have the right to do that. But if you're going to really try and have them listen, you got to be constructive, you know? So it's not easy. That's why I can't say anything specifically about that said game. It's just the fact that if you know about something, don't overhype it. That's all, you know, I guess in short.
You know, and what I like to tell people is, like, you can be mad, you can post something that you're frustrated about, but keep it moving, man. Why are you doing this for 2 weeks? like if you're mad for that day, there's only so much you can do to like, you know, control something. And when something is as far out of control as a game being developed and you're frustrated that something's not in it or how it's coming out is wrong, you are 100% free to express your frustration. But to go into somebody's tweets every single tweet and let them know every single time, or their DMs are open and you are spamming them in the DMs, letting it's not like these people don't know that something's supposed to be
I mean,
there or something's supposed to work better. It's just
they
like
know,
like
believe
like
me.
like how can somebody that has no stake in the game, no, like, you didn't put $1 to this, you may buy the game or something like that, but you're not, you're not on the creative side of it, you're not in a
Yeah,
leadership role there, you and even if you would you know what to do to fix the situation? You can't
yeah.
fast forward a lot of this stuff that people want tomorrow, unfortunately.
But then, and that goes back to the whole pandering thing. Like, it's hard because I think that another reason I would love working for Horror Studios is they made a game based off of actual history, and so much so they hired a full-time historian to help them work on the game. Like, so she would talk to the creators and the developers and give her input so that it could really work within the game. And then history sometimes offends people, and I kind of understand that, but at the same time, if they're making a game according to history, then you got to expect that you're going to see historically accurate stuff. But what happens, and it's just happens no matter what, everyone's always going to argue because ego gets in the way. That's all it is. It's not even about because they feel bad for someone. It's because they want to be right. That's always what it is. It's the virtue signaling, we call it. They just want to be known. They just want those extra followers. They think they're doing something for their friends or followers on their social medias, and ultimately they're just wasting time because you know what that actually does? It promotes the game even more. It really does, because everyone starts talking about the game. So, it. And the thing is, like, when I learned
That
more and
negative
more about
publicity is still publicity.
it, still is, but like ultimately it came down to the community of the team, and we stuck true to what they wanted to do. It just made Toby and I so much more passionate at these events, talking about the game. That's how I met Fextralife. They loved how passionate I was about the game, and they wanted me to be passionate if I could for them. So I had to believe in them, and I love those guys and girls. So it's just, man, it's like it's even so silly now on the other end where you're like, we make a post that we're covering Hogwarts Legacy, and they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't be supporting that." Like, are you stupid? Do you realize there's people that work on that team that have all different opinions? So we want to hurt them too? They need to make a living, and that doesn't mean they're compromising their integrity. Why is it that everyone has to believe all the same stuff everywhere? Anyways, you're not. If everyone has to believe all the same exact stuff, then we're not human anymore, and then we're losing that fast. And that's why I loved Warhorse Studios and Fextralife, because they let you be who you are. And like, we used to do the weekly torch on Warhorse Studios, and I talk about my faith in Christ and everything, because I'm like, that's part of who I am. That doesn't mean I'm preaching because I say my faith in Christ. If that offends you, then you got to get a life, man. Because you can tell me that you're into Buddhism or something. Why should that offend me? You're just telling me what you're into. Now, if you're telling me, Rick, this is what you need to believe in or else kind of thing, and you're threatening me or you're degrading me, then that's not cool, right? But, man, you got to be able to express yourselves, man. And that's what's so hard. You don't know how people are struggling to express themselves on Twitter, PR, because everyone tracks everything. But we've all created that environment for ourselves. So it's kind of a hard thing to overcome. You just got to be careful with what you say it's tough. It's tough, but we still go on. So.
Do you so like how much do you think it I guess that kind of depends on the developer, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, how much do you think like the outside world like affects them in gaming? But I guess that kind of depends on the studio, or depends on the people,
Outside
the
world?
environment. Yeah.
I think it's way more about the environment and what they are willing to take in and what they believe, because the people always mock each other, saying, "Well, if you were, if you had so many good games to play on the Xbox, why are you talking on Twitter?" But they're on the PlayStation side doing the same thing, right?
Right.
Going back to the whole focal point of gaming, what's so special about gaming isn't the gaming ultimately overall. That's the interest that brings people together, but it's still the community. So some people, they get all their life like community type stuff on social media, which I don't think is very healthy, but they do. So they're willing to go almost to the depth of their ego and talk about and stand up for their console of choice. And it's like, my God, they do that though, because like that's like they almost consider like their social media family their family, right? And so it's the community that brings that influence, and it's up to us if we get influenced by it or not. So the gaming, I love it, man. I mean, dude, I'm playing like 4 games right now. Will I beat half of them? I don't know. I hope. I love playing Metroidvania. I mean, I'm going to play some Ghost Recon Breakpoint with my NLG boys. I love that. But it's playing with my boys. It's hanging out and talking to people that really bring the ultimate influence, and we will be the undoing of ourselves if at the end of the day we all have to look at each other, look in the mirror and say, what can I do to make a more positive impact on the people around me? So it goes beyond the gaming. The biggest influence is from the influence of others. You either get influenced or you influence, right? And if you're going to get influenced, I hope it's because you want to live a humble life and you care more about the needs of others before yourself. And I'm sorry to bring it so deep, but really, if we're going to get to the root of the problem, it's not the developers and publishers. They're still making great games. We're spoiled. It's the fact that we always want more and that we're just get sucked into the atmosphere of social media so much. It's always this, like death counts and this and that. Like, you're not going to hear good news because that really can help take away some of these fears, and that's why all this bullcrap gets promoted. So people get sick and tired of it. Where I stand is, I'm not going to give up because of the negativity, but I'm also not going to lay down for that crap either. I'm not going to just believe it because they want me to believe something. And when I play games, I want to do it in hopes I can inspire people while I'm playing or while I'm in the business. I love building the relationships. So when you go to events and everything, it's more about the people. But it's so cool, man, that we can enjoy each other and play some really sweet games while we're at it, right?
Right. Absolutely. Fantastic answer. And never apologize for being as real as possible.
Oh, I will not, sir.
Never, ever. Like,
Yep.
I love it. So, but to continue on, I want to know, like, what kind of, what were the last few events that you went to? I don't know if you went into anything recently or if it was last year or the year before. Go on ahead and let me know.
Yeah, so I went to this past GDC.
Ooh.
And I had the choice to go to PAX East or GDC. And PAX is cool and all, but GDC felt like, to me, maybe because it's been so long, like a mini E3. I saw some really cool games. It was nice to see some of the developers and publishers, man. I was really enjoying myself, and I went solo. Sometimes, our team from Fextralife comes, out with me, but it was just me, and I loved it, man. It was good to be in that realm again.
All right, now I'm going to talk about leveling a little bit. So, I'm on a very early level in, trying to break into gaming and stuff like that. I've always been a gamer, but when it comes to talking about it and stuff like that, and thinking about going to these shows and talking to new people and really getting to that entrance point that you kind of were, right? What's the difference between a person like me going there and talking to random developers from different publishers or different studios or whatever, and somebody like you that has let's be honest, more rapport with and you probably got your badges and everything and all that stuff. So let me know what that's like a little bit, because I was hoping to dive in head first at this E3. I had my money all saved up. I had the people that I was gonna meet down there.
Ooh, makes my blood boil, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, it's very frustrating for me as well. But now I'm looking at possibly, I guess the next event would be something like PAX West or something. But
Yeah.
before we get off topic, go on ahead and answer that question because I get off
Well,
topic all the time.
I was in your shoes, right? Like, in fact, I would even had less rapport. Like, you've actually made yourself to know some really amazing people in the industry. Like, you were just talking to Barry, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Absolutely.
boards. I mean, he's one of the best guys I know in the industry. I love that guy, Barry. And if everyone was like him, we wouldn't even be having this conversation about some of the things we're talking about. Because that guy just has that pure joy and gratitude, and it's not fake. And the thing is, he stays consistently in that state of gratitude and humility. And I love it. And I feed off it myself. So what happened is what's to have people that you have connections with in the industry and then utilize that in a way that's healthy. So I had he went by Ben the PC guy back then. In fact, yeah, we became friends over time. He has like 7 kids now. Ben the PC guy, I actually forgot, Rudolph is his last name. He worked at Microsoft for many years, but like he gave me a chance. I met him at the Microsoft press conference. I told him that we're just, at that point we had a journalism, like company business thing going, trying to make it. And he took us in a room just because we asked him, and he let us interview him. Like, he was inspiring to us, and he gave us an opportunity, and he promoted this interview on that Microsoft Expert Zone because we told him our story. So what I'm saying is, when you go to these events and stuff, I would recommend when you get an opportunity again, to make plans to meet with the people that are in the industry or who have connections themselves, have a great time with them, and then just go wherever you can with them. And I don't care what anybody says. A lot of even the parties that people have gotten into, the gaming parties, just go with them and say you're with them because you are. And if they let you in, now you're in even more so, because that's what many of us used to do. I really find it funny when people are so politically correct. Oh, it's because of my college degree and this and that. Come on, man. Like, some of us got to try different ways. And I don't mean like ways that are not legit, but we have to try a different angle. And if you don't like that, that's your problem. You got you got to be you, sir. So for you, man, dude, if we ever go to an event together, I would definitely try and introduce you to people, because to me, it's more about the heart and the passion and the energy and the sincerity and your character than your background. The background is just a piece of paper until you actually live it out, right?
Sure. Fantastic way to put it.
And so, yes, sir.
Man, that's some pretty that's some pretty dope knowledge right there that you dropped. But going back to some of the questions that I had here for you today, we're about an hour into the show right now, and now I'm kind of curious, like, as to like the Fextralife side of what you've been doing as of recently. So going ahead and promote that a little bit, and give some knowledge to those of us that are listening now and those that may be coming through after the show has already been done, and just shout out who
Yeah.
you work for, and let them know all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. You got it. So Fextralife actually started back during the days of Demon Souls. And, Fextralife is the company's in Asia. And, people needed a lot of guidance when you're playing these Souls games. So I say we, but that was before my time, started making wikis. Demon Souls and Dark Souls, right? And that whole thing. And then we built the press website, reviews, been doing reviews for many, many years. Then to do it going on to YouTube. Then we were making video guides with written guides on our website. And then to Twitch, which we now have almost 1.5 million followers. It's blown up because we were known for, our wikis and guides. And we still are. Fextralife is like a press fluencer because we're very much, we love to review games and make guides, and then we love promoting on the influencer side, like on Twitch and YouTube. But we it's the whole ecosystem. It is one of the few companies that I've seen that can do it on the level that Fextralife have. It's insane. And I used to go to the wikis before I even knew about Fextralife. Like, You'll Google something. Let's be honest. Sometimes you'll Google something, you'll get a little bit of research on something, or if it's even for a game. And sometimes now I know because I pay attention. But when I was just a young kid, like getting help, like what the heck does this item do in Dark Souls? I didn't realize it was going on Fextralife's wiki.
Wow.
Fextralife has some of the biggest wikis in the world, period, for many ARPGs, for top-down isometric RPGs, D&D games, like. So if you have gotten any help from Souls games, you have almost 99%. I'm positive you've been to Fextralife. So, Fextralife is all about the community. The community can add to the wiki. There's a lot of fun there. Just learning about the games. And people get more time to enjoy these games because we make guides and they can learn how to use different builds. So that's fun. I've been with them for over 4 years now. And I get to talk to all the developers and publishers, man. I love it. I love meeting the people. I love going to the events and getting to, honestly, I get to talk to and learn about so many different games, right? Because when I was with Warhorse, I would go to E3 and I don't even know what's going on at E3 because I'm at the booth all day doing presentations, which, by the way, I loved. But at Fextralife, I get to, I love ARPGs and I love RPGs and I love open world action adventure games. And now we stream shooters and there's some shooters I love. So I love to be able to talk to developers and publishers on calls, seeing them in person, and building those relationships so we can get the early access coverage, right? So we can review the game, so we can get the guys going. So yeah, Fextralife.com or Fextralife everywhere. You guys should definitely check us out. If there's a game where you need help with and it's an RPG, you will usually find a guide for it on our website for most of these games.
Yeah, I actually have the website on the screen right now so people can see what it kind of looks like. So if you're kind of curious or wanted to go over there to check it out, they have a ton of different stuff on here. I mean, the headline article on there, Star Wars Jedi Survivor Guide, 8 tips and tricks. Game hasn't even came out yet, already has some tips and tricks and stuff to do on it. Diablo, which is another big game that's going to be coming out. You guys already have like a new beta guide for that stuff. I mean, you guys are over here working. I see it. It's very up to date.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, we also have, a paid team that works on the wiki, right? Like we put a lot of time into it and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing because again, we're hitting it from every which way. You want to just read articles, you can read. You want to watch something, you can watch something. You want to watch a personality cast on Twitch or Tier or Uria, you can do that. We have 3 streamers. We've done marathons with 3 different people. Sometimes just cast, but yeah, we have a good time. We're very much focused on the games. We realize what brought us into the gaming just to begin with, and we like to keep it that way, simple and fun for everyone to enjoy. So
yeah. So when it has to do with like building traffic for a website like this, how do you guys go about advertising a website? Like that has to be kind of tricky.
yeah, well, the thing for me is I really don't handle that part, but I do own a marketing business, so I do understand about like SEO and all sorts of ways to promotions, getting ads on your website or whatever. But I don't really deal with that part much, which is really cool. I will say
That's really
that
cool.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
really
do
cool.
that, which is dope.
Yeah, it is dope. It is dope because when the games, I just want to focus on the games for me, right? Like when I'm in the gaming industry, I just want to talk about the games, and that's what I get to do. It's like one of my faces, side of my face is dark. Sorry, it's getting a little dark in this room.
No, you're fine.
Anyway, yeah. So, but now the site we probably get between 8 to 10 million unique visitors a month on our website. So it's a blast, and we don't really have to do a lot of that kind of advertising because we have such a huge fan base, and we're very happy and proud about that. That we have a really big community that really likes our work.
Yeah, shout out to those of you guys in the chat. I see you guys, Sir X Man, Tortoise Hawaii, Sergeant Sentinel Gaming, Ducato. Ducato actually says easy to follow guides too. Got stuck on Elden Ring a couple times. So there
Elden
you go.
Ring, your life, you're going to hear that a lot in the same sentence, I think, because everyone knows this. When you have a Souls game, it's Fextralife. You can Google Dark Souls, you're going to find Fextralife in there. It's just it's part of the lifeblood of Fextralife. And yeah, yes, sir.
That's fantastic. Well, it really seems like you guys have some dope stuff going on over here. Um, really looking forward to the kind of content you guys drop for a game. I'm wondering if you guys will have you guys covered Ark Survival Evolved?
No, that is not one we covered.
Oh man, if you guys ever cover that, good luck.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
I know, I know, I know.
I love that game though.
Yeah, that's not one, but you never know. You never know. We're diversifying little bits here and there with certain games too.
Well, I tell you what, if you guys ever need somebody to play Ark for you, I could be your guy. I'll play the living crap out of that game, man. I have like 150 days in that game as of right now.
Oh, that's your game. Wow.
I love that game. I mean, there's some people I know that have like in the 400s of days in that game. It's a time sucking game, but I love it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, all right. So now I definitely got some pretty fun questions that I like to ask a lot of different people whenever they come onto the show. By the way, Rick, it's been a pleasure so far. I feel like I've learned quite a bit. I feel like the people that showed up for the show today seemed like they liked what you had to say and whatnot. So I'm having a good time, but but going over to these other questions I'm kind of curious about with you, and this has more or less to do with you personally than like job or anything like that. All right, and they're fun questions as well, or at least some of them are. Maybe this one isn't the most fun. This one is, what's a gaming genre? Like if you were to walk into a store, they got everything listed in genres.
Sims.
You just said a game. You just said this genre right here, The Sims.
Like, I just don't. Not for me. Not for me. I just don't.
What about
it's
it?
Not like, it's a different type of creativity that's never interested me. You know, you got to be very creative, which is great, but I'm creative in different ways. I think it's just. I think when you try and dissect it, it's interesting because you break it down on a psychological level. Like, yeah, why don't I like that? And I think I'm more of an action guy, you know, and I like story, controlling more of my character. I don't know if that explains it well, but it's just never caught me. Man, I remember even in Sim City when my friend tried to show me that one, the good old Sim Cities back in the day.
They're task managing games. You're just managing different tasks.
It's also why I don't like hardcore survival games. I hate when I'm taking out this enemy that's a pain in the butt to beat to begin with, and I gotta go get food, or I'm starving. I can't do it. I can't. Or I gotta go get more because it needs more wood. Well, there you go. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I get more that one-track mind. I'm in the zone. Don't take me out of my zone because I'm hungry. Although I say that was in Come Deliverance, so that was cool, but it wasn't over the top. I think some games it's meant to be, and people love that. That's why there's a genre. So there you go. That's another one. Survival. No thank you.
Maintain simulator because you're trying to just stay alive. All right. So let me flip it over a little bit and ask you something more fun. So what would be a favorite studio? You already talked about this a little bit. You said you're biased, so go on ahead and let it fly.
This is so tough because you have to nail it to one. I could mention Nintendo or whatever, like what the big companies, but I honestly think if I were to really break it down based on looking at my favorite games of all time, Ubisoft, because I remember, like Far Cry Instinct's Predator, right? Wait a minute, no, that's Crytek. Forgive me, that's Crytek before Ubisoft took over Far Cry. Let me rewind.
Bam.
Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, man. Ghost Recon is the very first. Ghost Recon 2 is the very first game I played on Xbox Live. So there's a little nostalgia there for me. That's the first time I ever understood what it's like to play online. And I loved Ghost Recon so much. Then Rainbow Six, like, you got to be kidding. You guys are making bangers, right? What's crazy, though, is like, as much as you would think I'd love a game like Assassin's Creed, Fextralife loves it. I have still never given one Assassin's Creed game a try, which is crazy, right? But, like, I love, what else? The Division, I played the first one more so. But, like, I love the type of tactical shooters. And what happened is I liked GRAW, we were talking about that earlier, or Ghost Recon for the campaign when they had a good campaign. Actually, I did like Wildlands, and I'm doing Breakpoint now. But like Rainbow Six had some interesting campaigns plus multiplayer, so you got the best of both, right? I think I'll stay to, final answer, Ubisoft.
Ubisoft it is.
A lot of memories, man. I played competitively with GRAW 2. I even played on when MLG was a thing. Major League Gaming. When it was, all the branding, right? MLG.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love me some Ubisoft games. Like, I love the classic ones. Some of the new ones I really like too. Immortals of Phoenix Rising was probably one of my favorite.
Oh, play that one. Yeah, all the way.
Everyone was so in love with was it called Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I was just like, this, I'm sorry you guys, but this feels better. like I didn't like it was just my opinion. I know there's a lot of diehard Zelda fans that are just like, this dude's out of his mind. But like that game, just the fact that my weapon didn't break, I loved it.
Yeah, true. I mean, how about it? Can I skip ahead to one question about my best 3 games? Can we go into that one?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Because I had a lot of fun with this. I've had this asked before on podcasts, but I took a little more time this time out. I'm like thinking, okay, what are my favorite games? And I erased and entered it, like, so I could type it in to remind myself, and I deleted and then re-entered and deleted and re-entered. And while I will say that the Zelda series, because of nostalgia, and I love Zelda, is probably my favorite series of all time, I think my number one game of all time is GRAW 2. All time. Like, all time. Because I love the campaign, and I couldn't get enough of the multiplayer. I couldn't get enough of the fun factor. I couldn't get enough of the competitive edge in the game, like the competitive nature. I loved so many things about GRAW 2. And, there's so many other games I could say. I mean, I've played a lot of games, but that would be my number one. And then number 2 is GoldenEye 007. That game was so incredible because when you beat the game, you could change the level of difficulty and change and decide what weapons you could start with. So I maxed all the AI settings up, 1,000% damage. So you're basically in one shot, you're basically dead, right? And I was able to beat some levels because I used the double eye, the golden gun, and I did dual wielding golden guns. And some of the bosses in that game, like the Aztec stage. Did you ever play GoldenEye 007?
Oh yeah.
Remember Aztec
the
stage?
Bunker. I loved all of the
bunker. That's my favorite multiplayer, right? One. But like in the Aztec level, you got to beat that boss at the end, man. I beat him on the.
You talking about with the big doors that open?
The big doors that open.
Yeah.
And then there's the dude, and he's like shooting. I think he's dual wielding too, but like he only takes a few hits on the insanely hard difficult mode with 1,000 AI smart, like whatever the settings were. I raised it all up.
Was that the one for Jaws? Was that? No, that wasn't Jaws level.
But the bottom line is I got so good at the game, I could beat it without getting hit, even on the hardest setting. You know what I mean? Like on some of the levels. Some of the levels were too hard. You couldn't do it. But some levels I found a way to do it. And then, having all my friends come over, and then everyone thinks they're the best at the game. And to this day, you'll talk to people and we all think we're the best at it. But that's because we weren't playing online. We were playing locally. And now online, there's many more people to play against. So I revisited that not too long ago on Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I don't care what anyone says. This game still holds up in some way. because it's just the fun factor. It's just simple. It's not all the nonsense. And it was great, So number 3 was then Far Cry Instincts Predator. Amazing campaign. That game I played so much. In the map editor, the levels, dude, we'd have friends come over for hours just playing one level we would make. And then to steal the sample so you could throw the flag, like chuck it. Not like Halo just tossing the flag. He drops it, the big dog, drop it. Like you could throw the sample over a wall, right? And you could come up with all forms of strategy. So like it was capture the flag, but the sample you hold in your hand. And we were playing, I forgot the stage, and it's my favorite. It's like at the tip of my tongue. I can't remember the name. But in Far Cry Instincts Predator. What's the name? Either way, we'd have a strategy. So I'm running with a sample. Everyone's trying to shoot me, and I would throw it over the wall, and the other guy was there to catch it. That was some pretty dope moves. Like, right. I don't even see that anymore. Like, that idea, that concept. We beat one of the best teams in the world, man, because we competed in tournaments. We got lucky. We got totally lucky, but we beat them once, and they're like, man, you guys didn't deserve that win. I'm like, but we did win. And that was the only time we ever won. We just got lucky. We had a good game plan. So those are the 3 top because I had the best of all of them. Playing the campaign was amazing. The multiplayer was amazing. And the customization options were incredible. And the honorable mention I have is Dark Souls and The Witcher 3 because Dark Souls was the only game that I played through twice. I never play a game again to beat it. I don't want to. I don't like going through a lot of the same stuff again. That's for me. But Dark Souls 1 was so good. It was so new. It did hit me because I never played Demon Souls. I was all in on Dark Souls where I put a couple hundred hours in. And The Witcher come on. The Witcher has it all. Combat's kind of but that was good for its time.
All right. I mean, you nailed it. You were prepared for that question.
I was because I was having fun getting prepared,
Okay, so now you were scratching a whole lot of nostalgia right there.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So now I'm curious as to future games and like let me go on ahead and kind of draw a line in the sand. So any game after Starfield.
Okay.
Is there any games that you're looking forward to that you know for a fact is after that?
Avowed. The next Fable. The Perfect Dark game. That who knows what's going on there. I'm paying attention. Like I love Perfect Dark too. The old school ones.
Yeah, I mean, if you like GoldenEye, come on.
Of course, right? I'm sure there's other games that might slip me right now that I would know after I talk to you. But I know there's going to be another Ghost Recon. They best believe they are going back to what made it good, and they're not going to pull that nonsense. I'm sorry, I'm saying this from a fan's perspective, not from a business standpoint here.
Please speak.
When they tried to do that, that test and everyone didn't like it.
The gear score?
The Ghost. Remember they had a Ghost Recon beta test or something for like it's not like X Defiant, right? And that was going to be like Ghost Recon, right?
Right.
And Ghost Recon needs to be Ghost Recon. Like Rainbow Six Siege was so good because it stuck to its tactical roots. It's very special. You can't deviate too much from what made it special. So I'm looking forward to whatever Ghost because I know they're not done with Ghost Recon. I can't wait for whatever that is. Even though Fextralife we're all over Diablo, I will probably play that local co-op with my boy, but that doesn't count because that'll be out before Starfield.
I feel like you answered enough of the after.
Yeah.
Go on ahead and enter some of the ones now that are going to be coming out recently or here soon.
Yeah, so Jedi Survivor just came out, and here's the thing: I'm going to answer another one of these questions. I actually had the opportunity to go to San Francisco and play it ahead of time.
I hate
so. I know, and my kids do too. and here's the thing with I sometimes have to wear multiple hats at Fextralife, so I'll actually write articles. I was the one thing was interesting is I never was so great at my like reading comprehension or attention span, but for some reason I still took AP English and it helped me in high school and I had a really good teacher. So I did learn how to write a little bit, but I wasn't that great at it. And but I like that I can write a little bit with some impressions for Fextralife, right? So Jedi Survivor, even though it's coming out tomorrow, I can technically mention it because it's not out yet, right? That is right now, and I know it's soon, but because I did get hands on, it's my game of the year right now. It's my
Wow.
game.
Have you played Hogwarts or Dead Space or the new Resident Evil? Like, have you played any of those games so then you can maybe balance this?
Well, I'm glad you said that. So first off, I'm not really a big Harry Potter guy at all.
Me either.
Although I did, yeah, although I did watch all of the movies, some of it was very painful, and then some of the later ones were really good. Because they all matured a little bit, right? They got older. But Hogwarts Legacy is an incredible game. I mean, it is a very special game in and of itself, but it doesn't interest me. Definitely not a knock on the game there. Resident Evil 4 remake. Let me tell you something. I love the old school Resident Evil so much that I refuse to play the new ones because I can't do first person. I'm that stubborn about it.
Sure.
It deviated too much, and although Resident Evil Village had DLC, or they made it so that you can do.
Right. You had to
I will
buy it
play
though,
that.
which is weird.
That's very weird move there. But I the reason why I can't call that a game of the year for me is even though it's an incredible remake, I played it before. You know,
So you
I
feel the
played.
same about Dead Space then?
Yeah, but game when I took a big, huge, long break from gaming, when I had the GameCube and I got Resident Evil 4, man, dude, I was up to 1, 2, 3 in the morning playing that son of a gun. That got me back into gaming. That's how good that game was. The same thing with Dead Space or like I love Callisto Protocol. Those are amazing, amazing games. But Jedi Survivor, the reason why I'm boldly saying that is because it kind of has everything like really good music, really good story, good combat. And I don't even care about Star Wars. That's so for me to say that, I don't know anything about Star Wars. Like I like if I talk to people who care about Star Wars, I can easily offend them because I know nothing.
Right.
And I've seen some of the movies, and forgive me because Han Solo. So here we are.
Oh,
You-
whatever. I'm
but
not. I've said this openly. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan either. I got the name Ham Solo from my cousin because I wouldn't stop playing Battlefront for
oh,
the
that's a good
original
game.
Xbox.
It's a good game, but like Jedi Survivor hits the Metroidvania. I love Metroidvania games. I'm a sucker for them. I'm playing After Image. If you listen, I will sell that game for free because After Image is so beautiful. The music, the gameplay, the challenge. People need to check out After Image. They need to. I hope that it sells well because that studio is very Modus. They did it right. But anyway, Jedi Survivor. It also has the Souls-like elements that I love. I love the playing on Jedi Master. When I play a game, sir, I can only play on the hardest difficulty. So I love to have a massive challenge, man. I played Call of Duty 3 and I never even played Call of Duty 1 or 2 and I went right into the hardest mode on the campaign. Call of Duty 3 was a tough game to play. It was challenging. So I love that. Jedi Survivor has all of it. Everything. The story, the music, the characters. There's a couple things that I think would be better. I'm not big on customization with just changing colors and gear. I like to have perks to that. So I don't spend time at the workbench with that because I don't care. I like giving them the beard though. I do like that, giving Cal the beard and Jedi Survivor. Um,
That's different.
but yeah,
You
yeah,
talking about the fuzz that he has,
yeah.
or
Because
does
when
he
this
have like a full-on beard?
like you can give that to him, right? I'm not giving away spoilers because that was known before the game was out. But he's more grittier. He's been through a lot. He's more mature. That's cool, you know. I like a darker tone a little bit. I'm not giving anything away. I'm only saying what you saw in trailers and stuff. I have, I didn't write the review for the Jedi Survivor. We gave it an 8.5. It's I can just tell you I just know right now it's I was surprised, but I'm like, I can't believe this. This is my game of the year so far. It's crazy.
Now, are you anticipating? I mean, now knowing that, are you anticipating Zelda to take that away from you?
Yes.
Are you anticipating Starfield taking Zelda away from you?
No. No.
Is it because you're not interested in Starfield, or is it because you just don't know what to expect?
Um, it's because I don't know what to expect, and the fact that it's not fair to Bethesda or the devs, but Zelda has too much nostalgia for me, and the fact of the gameplay that I've seen, I'm like, oh my goodness! Like the one thing I will say though, with Tears of the Kingdom, they better have them dungeons back. They better get me my temples back, because I'm telling you, I can't give Breath of the Wild a 10 when I have all these shrines and the divine beasts with these lame temples that like are a poor man's version of what they used to be. How do you take that out? Better be in there. But it's still going to be my game of the year. I can tell you that no matter what game comes out. My kids.
So Spider-Man doesn't matter. Starfield doesn't matter.
Spider-Man is
Nothing else.
good. And I Starfield, let me tell you something, man. Fextralife, we're going to be all over it, and I'm sure I'm going to really like it. But it's Zelda. So it's no fair to anybody.
You're like, there's no excuse other than it's Zelda.
And again, like you gotta love all the ways you can make weapons and vehicles like that. You know, they're so smart with that. They're gonna have Zelda trending in 10 different categories. There's gonna be memes and gifs all over because of the customization. They're brilliant. They're brilliant, man. It's gonna trend in so many ways. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be game of the year. I can tell you that right now. It's gonna be the game of the year. They're gonna vote on it. It's gonna be game of the year at the Game Awards. Nintendo,
you know, think anything's even going to come close?
That's a good question to ask. I think
because I don't know, Hogwarts is very soft spot for a lot of people, and
you are correct, and that should be mentioned in the game. It should be voted for Game of the Year. Starfield, when it comes out in September, right? It's enough time for it to be considered Game of the Year. But I am never going to give some game a Game of the Year when it's the first of its own kind and we still don't know a lot about it. I mean, I think it has the hype to potentially be, and I respect and understand why games need to get delayed. But I don't, like you said, I don't know enough about it. And I just think I'm biased with Zelda. I am a little.
That's fair. That's fair, because if Ark dropped this year, I would have been like, that's the game of the year. And you would have been like, dude, I hate that game.
Now, if there was a new Witcher that came out or like Elder Scrolls 6, man, I'd be like, you know what? Now, the next Witcher, that will compete with me for Tears of the Kingdom. That will compete because the Witcher, special place there. With all the, like, that's a game you actually role play. There are role playing games where you do zero role playing. You actually role play in The Witcher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, dude, it's so big, so many choices. So
that's
much
what I'll say,
stuff
brother.
to level.
You're spoiled. We are spoiled. That's why when people are arguing, it's more. Forgive me. Here I am bringing it back to something on the bigger scale. But let's enjoy the games, man. We have too many games to be complaining, right?
For sure.
Unless it's constructive, you know. And we'll always have that to talk about.
That's true. Moving on to the next question, we've hit that hour and a half mark, and I just want to be able to respect your time and whatnot. But if you had, because you were talking about some, nostalgia, right? You've been talking about it quite a bit, and I ain't mad at you because I live in nostalgia. I mean, look around in my room.
I'm looking.
It is nostalgia. So I want to know from you, what 2 games you would like to go back and revive and give, AAA quality to today.
Oh man, Maybe Majora's Mask could be one. Zelda, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. I'd probably say like the one for the GameCube. Like I'd keep picking Zelda. Here we go again, right? The GoldenEye would have always been one, and finally we got it. GoldenEye 007 again, right?
But that wasn't really like given like the quality aspect that I'm kind of talking.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm talking about taking a yesterday's game and turning it into today's.
Right. Well, again, I would still say like I loved Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask to see what they could do today and how they could beef it up, and even maybe like we know The Witcher 1 where they're trying to. It seems to me like obviously we know they're remaking the game to make it more open world. That would be really cool to do with some of these games and see how they can make it more open, right? I even love the Wind Waker. I don't know. I'm sure I could think of other games that I'm not thinking of right now. But like, can you imagine like Graw 2 beefed up?
Oh man, that'd be fantastic.
And how about this?
I'd like a beefed up Ghost Recon, but linear.
Yeah,
is that crazy?
No, it's not. And here's the other thing too. Like, then what you do is you add a new mode. So then you add, whatchamacallit. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. But whenever like a battle zone or whatever, where you're just all going at it, and it's like completely open. And it's
like a battle royale.
Battle royale. Wow, I said battle zone. Battle royale because I would love that. Can you imagine having a squad? And you have different squads from all over coming at one another. You know what I'm saying? And making it so open like that, to me, could be more of something I would love to see, but not as the beef of the game, right? You still want to see Graw. Like, I still love some of the linear stuff. I love how Graw used to be more like the music was impactful. You felt like you were in a movie.
I love the sync shot. When you guys all were looking at him and you're like, 1, 2, 3, pop, 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 and it like does that like slow motion thing. Like,
so when I get off with you, when I get off with you, I'm gonna kiss my wife goodnight. She understood that tonight was a night that one day a week I'll be with my boys, NLG boys playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That's what we do. We're like, I got A, I got B, I got C. 1, 2, 3, bam, bam, bam. Dude, that's wonderful. Yeah, love it. Love it.
But in the older ones, I remember it used to do like that slow motion kind of effect.
Oh,
and
yes,
stuff like that. Remember on like what was it, Ghost Recon? Golly, it wasn't the one I'm thinking of. Isn't Advanced Warfare?
No, it's not.
Before it.
And I love that one too.
Oh man, I am blanking right now, and it's
so am I. But I know what you're talking about.
I think it's Future Soldier.
Future Soldier, GRFS. Yeah, I love that.
So dope.
Future Soldier was so dope. The multiplayer was dope. We played that one competitively too. I loved it. Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Man, just those slow motion moments when you're shooting and like there's like civilians and stuff like that, like and like it just felt tight. Like the newer Ghost Recons, it's sometimes I feel like, oh man, this is really cool. This is super open. And then I feel like, all right, well, I'm starting to get kind of lost. I wish there was just like a direction just instead of flying 10 miles to the mission. I wish I just, kind of sometimes just kind of like Call of Duty where you just end up in the mission. You get out of the truck or you get or you're shooting on a helicopter and you get off and the mission starts or something like that from there.
Sure.
I kind of miss I like the openness, but sometimes Ghost Recon gives me that kind of Ubisoft taste a little bit to where it's like, oh, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Assassin's Creed or I mean, several other games. Sometimes.
It's so hard because these companies have to keep finding ways to evolve and, obviously they need to make money in a business, so they're going to find ways to bring other gamers to the genre. But at the same time, then they have to have the balance, and it's tough. How do you keep the OG guys and gals that really love the series? And you deviate too much, and that's what I felt like what happened to Resident Evil after 4. Then, Code Veronica too. I played that, man. I played that one all the way through. On the what's that system that
Dreamcast?
Dreamcast. Oh yeah. You know what's crazy, by the way? Total tangent. I played that in study hall. Like my teacher watched me play it in study hall.
Wait, how do you have a Dreamcast in study hall?
When I was in high school, I kid you not, I asked my teacher and she let me play, and she watched me play Code Veronica. Like, so now you see, I'm not afraid to ask. I would just
That's
ask.
insane.
That was wild. I can't even, now that I think about it. I mean, I used to play NBA. Like one time there was a school event, and I had 4 guys, and I'm like, guys, listen, I brought my Super Nintendo. I know in the science room they have a TV. We're gonna hook up my Nintendo. We're gonna play NBA Jam, and that's what we did. Everyone else was in the auditorium. We just tried to find ways to make things happen, man. You know.
You're insane, sir. but awesome. But in the sense of awesomeness, not negative. But like, man, like you're that guy that like gets people hyped, is what it seems like. You're the hype man sometimes. What are you doing? Come join us. We're doing something crazy real quick. This is gonna be great.
Hey man, in my job when I was selling phones, we had all the TV monitors, so people come in, they see all the new Verizon phones, right? They leave. We would bring our Xboxes at night and hanging out and hooking up men so we could play together in tournaments. Always just coming up with ideas. So when I used to see people get excited about something, I was that guy. Everyone played paintball, and I would go and say, "Listen, guys, we need to get paintball guns. We can do this outside. We could go in someone's backyard." And then I would go and buy it. No one else would. I was the guy that would try and take the initiative, because that was one of the things that I used to have when I was younger. There was a lot of things I was not confident about of myself. But when I had a vision about something, I always wanted to achieve it, because I always wanted to believe it could happen. You know what I mean? So.
No doubt. Perfect. Well, I got 2 more questions left before we wrap this thing up.
Okay, sir.
The first one, and I usually combine this topic pretty much, and I'm going to do that the same here. I want to know first what frustrates you in gaming, and then secondary, I want to know what would be the dream come true. So go on ahead and answer the first one about what frustrates you.
So what frustrates me,
and this could be any piece of gaming, any piece.
Wow.
Community, like development, news, just anything.
I will say a few things, and I still will say it with being balanced as best I can. The first thing with gaming is what frustrates me is platforming and cheap bosses. I'm not a man of 4-letter words, but if I'm playing a game and everyone's sleeping, so I know it's me by myself, but if I'm doing a game that's like, even after image, I love it, but there's a lot of like, you need to jumping around spikes and stuff, and then when I play a platforming game, man, I'm like, I did not tap A. I pressed and held that A button, man. I should have been jumping over it, and I die, and then I got to start over. I hate that, man. I can get frustrated, like, dang it, man, I got to do all this jumping around again. That the platforming type, as much as I love platform game, that style, Mario or 2D side-scrolling games, I hate the jumping part when it's not working for me. And a lot of times it's my fault, but I blame it on the game.
Sure.
And then the other part is, the bosses that it just feels more spammy. And don't get me wrong, I will play to the death to beat that boss. But when I'm like, you son of a gun, you're supposed to be stunned right now. I saw your stamina bar. You son of a, I get mad, dude.
They do that to you in Diablo a little bit. It's like, I thought you were dead, and like he has like no life, and he's still alive.
Well, I am one of those people. I have to really discipline myself that when there's 1 hit left on the boss, I don't go crazy. Because the really good pro players, they still play like they were when they started the fight. They step back and they wait to take that attack, and they take their time. For me, I see that last little bit of health, and I'm like, let's go. Done, dead.
Special.
You die. What frustrates me about the gaming community, we've already touched on a little bit of it, it's that they were letting social media dictate who we are as a people, and that is BS. There is a lot of wonderful people out there. When I talk to people in the gaming industry who feel more comfortable to talk about who they are as a person, when all the media is gone, when all the hoopla is gone, there's a lot more common ground than people think. People should not be judging each other because they don't like a president or because they don't agree about this law or that law. My goodness, people, stop being so self-righteous because you have just as many flaws as someone else does. You are just as ugly as they are when it comes to making mistakes. It's all ugly, and we all make mistakes, and we all have to get over our own egos. So what I love about, on the flip side, is when I can just talk to someone and the walls come down because they can be themselves around me.
Right.
Like, it's not that we can't even talk about those things. It's that we can talk about whatever we want, and we don't have to get offended. So when I hate when I see, because it's kind of sad when someone says, well, I don't want to be on social media. And sometimes they're doing it to get attention, right? Oh, I'm not going to be on anymore. And then they're on. They're on like a day later.
Yeah. Like I always found it weird when people are like, I'm deactivating my account in 2 days. It's like,
the truth is, it's mostly for
really?
attention. It's a self-conscious thing. It's a very insecure thing. But when someone just is so frustrated about the negativity, it's like, well, yeah, but that's these guys' jobs because that's what sells in America is negativity. It's unfortunate, but it's true. What we have to do is step away from it, ignore it. Don't even respond to most of it. Just move on. I'm not saying you can't talk about frames or delays. Okay, but when you start then judging people and like, I've had people block me because they think we shouldn't have covered a certain game, and I've been talking to them for years, or they judge me because, like, why? Like, we make a game doesn't mean I follow the philosophies of a freaking video game. It's just a video game. So we can't let the negativity and the social media influence who we are as a people, because that's when everyone starts arguing. I hate that about the community, because I don't care who you are. I don't freaking care. I don't care what your beliefs are. I just want to be able to talk to you. And if you can't talk to me because I believe in God and I love talking about God without being preachy, and by the way, when I say that, I'm not saying you better get saved or blah, 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 blah. Like, I just like thanking God sometimes. Just like, like people, and it's funny. People say God damn or something. Well, why is it okay to say that? But then I just say, thanks, God. But I'm not doing it to be preachy. I'm just like thanking God. I thank God that we can have this talk right now. I'm not preaching you.
No.
Right? So if we can't be that, and that's what's so hard for PR too, because they're afraid to death, because it's hard for them. So we have to show a little mercy to people in the industry because we don't realize what they have to deal with. But at the same time, it's always fun when you have those good days and you see everyone's kind of talking about that Tears of the Kingdom. And then people take down the stupid walls of who likes what platform, what console. I don't care what console you like playing more, bro. They're all good. They're all good. That's what I don't like.
No doubt. And so and you already mentioned the dream come true.
Yeah, the one dream come true was like,
because I thought you tied it in there with the kind of the flip side.
Yeah, I did, and then also like for like a digressing a lot, like for a video game sake, I was thinking about like a dream come true on the gaming, like an actual game that I'm looking for is a game that you can have an open world, like medieval, like ARPG, that you can have clans and things like that and have this ever evolving world and still feel like it's your own game, like some kind of MMORPG, but it's not like these teeny guys. I don't always like playing as a teeny guy or having automations. I like controlling my character and having the realism factor. Like, I don't know even how you would make it, but I just envision games more where you really feel like you're a part of that world in a big way. And so much so where you get back to more of the, not everyone has to talk in a party chat. Some of the best experiences I had when I'm not talking in a party chat, I'm in game chat, meet new people, getting that going back more because it's so important to have that. And, or having a Ghost Recon game is just a dream come true. I just want another one.
This man's addicted to Ghost Recon.
But the other dream, ultimate dream, is that social media loses what people think keeps it together, this negativity stuff, and where we just go back to what made it special in the beginning, was just playing games. You said in 3 words, I'm jumping ahead here, about how I describe gaming.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm
Don't do
sorry.
it
I'm
yet.
sorry.
Don't
Mm,
do it yet. I always
zip.
do that on the way of walking
I'm
out, pretty
sorry.
much.
I'm sorry. Okay.
But you're fine. So, before we hit that, I just want to thank you and everybody that showed up or shows up afterwards to check this show out. It has been very insightful. I've learned a lot about you. I like the in the way you carry yourself is very honest, and it's fantastic. And in my opinion, we need a lot more just honest people that are willing to be civil. Like, you can be honest, you can be brutally honest and be civil. Man, some of the most disrespectful things I've seen from people from some people were from like the most like appropriate type of wording and whatnot. I'm just like, damn, did you realize he just insulted you? Because it was so nice, but like
Yeah,
at the same time, and I think that comes with communication within the
it
world,
does.
right? It
It
it it,
does.
it starts there. Like, you need to be able to relay your thoughts and opinion while still holding a level ground and not making yourself look above or below somebody else.
And the
It's
way to
hard to
do that,
do, but it
yes,
takes it really just takes going outside, talking
I
to
was
people,
just going to say,
failing.
yes, disconnect from the tech. Even my wife and kids and I, we try to have an hour and a half. Phones are away. We're hanging out with one another. And the bottom line is, it's unfortunate because I've done it myself. But when I start getting real loud, like on social media in a way that was like, especially when I was younger, it was more so because I was too invested in it. Like, you can still be invested in people, you can still be active on social media, but don't get too invested emotionally. It's not that important. It's not. It's not worth that. It is not.
That's an absolute fact. Thank you so much, though, for coming out and
Dude,
being part of this show today. Again, thanks to everybody that comes through and sees this, whether it's now or later. Um, and just before I, ask you that last question that you almost asked, I want to know: do you? I need to start doing this more often because I always skip over this question. But is there any questions that you have for me before I close her out?
That's a good one. Um, what do you think about what I was saying about the community? Like, do you see the potential of how it could improve if we don't allow the social media to define how we should think? You know what I mean?
I've
Do you
always
think it
been a
could get
fan.
better?
I've always been a fan of the underdog. I'll put it that way. I've always been a fan of seeing something that's not supposed to happen. Call me a dreamer or whatever, but like, I think there's just something there's something about like movies, TV shows, or reality or something like that when you see something that just doesn't look right, but it ends up being fantastic. Like, I remember a while back, I remember seeing this video of this dude that was just absolutely poor. He was living on the street, but he had like the voice of like a prime announcer. And I remember watching this video where he ended up getting a job.
I saw that.
You know
I
what I'm
saw it.
talking about?
But then I think he had a relapse, right?
Yeah. But just the fact that he was able to see that light and
Right,
have
right.
that opportunity to, improve or, get out of the hysteria that he was in, to me is just like, there's the hope right there. There it is. It flashed. I seen it,
Yeah, that was a beautiful thing. Yeah.
you know? And it's just like, I seen something that I didn't think was very attainable, and somebody made it attainable. And I'm sitting here doing jack shit. Very inspiring. That's the kind of stuff that like drives me to be like, look at myself in the mirror. And I think a lot of people need to do that, because I feel like whether people are big time or not, the what is it called? The character people portray sometimes is a lot bigger and bolder than the reality, due to something like a
That's the
social
truth.
media
Yep.
or something like that, where you're allowed to be as sexy, as fluent, as, popular as you want to be. Sure, there's statistics that may show, oh, this dude only has a couple followers or something like that. But those people that have the couple followers sometimes are the loudest ones in the room. Like I'll get sometimes some very disrespectful messages on Twitter, or like very disrespectful criticism. And then I go to look at this person, I'm like, man, who are you? And then I see that they only have like, and then I'm wondering, like, is this really who this person is? Are they really like this outside of this app? Because I doubt it.
I think the same could be said though about people who have like thousands and thousands of followers too, right?
Right.
Because they just are able to get away with it more because they have such a following. But at the end of the day, I remember actually specifically having a conversation with someone who had a big following, but is like really intimidated about talking in person. And it's like, then what happens is people start to identify with their weaknesses. And the problem is they own their weaknesses by saying it's a part of their identity. And I always believe that no matter what challenge we face, at least on a psychological level, or even a deeper spiritual level, if you will, that any challenge we face in some way, shape, or form can be overcome. Maybe you go through some physical issue and you don't know how to overcome it, or maybe you're stuck with it for your whole life. That does not mean you have to identify with that. Like, you don't have to make that. And my dad died of ALS, for example. He never made that his identity. He wanted to do whatever he could with his limitations, and he did not want the attention on him. He wanted it to still treat people normal, to not play the role of a victim. And that can seem really, like, that can even sound really offensive to what I said. But what I learned from him and others who've persevered and who've succeeded in helping others and not worrying about what people think about them, it's because they don't care what people think about them, and they're not trying to bring the attention on them. Because humility is esteeming others higher than yourself. If anything, we as a people, more now than ever, do not live a humble lifestyle. We want all that ego attention, and it feeds the ego. So we got to stop identifying with things that bring us down. And we need to start identifying with who we really are. And you got to find that within you. You got to look in the mirror, like you were saying. Got to go deep.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you for that question. Now, before we get out, I'm going to ask you just please one more time, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yes. Rick5292. You can find me there on Twitter or Xbox if you want. I have PlayStation. I don't play online there as much. And then really, Facebook is kind of more, I kind of, believe me, working on both sides of the industry, you want to keep that more private, I've had fans follow me over there, which is fine, but now I kind of can't do that now. And other than that, I would say, if anything, you really want to follow more, just go Fextralife. But you can reach out to me on Twitter. That's fine. Otherwise, follow Fextralife. They do great work, and I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Now, last thing I want you to do is to describe gaming in just 3 words.
Let's have fun.
Simple. Ran together and it was simple. Perfect. Thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode of Behind Them Six with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming here on the TSWS Gaming YouTube channel. I had an excellent time with my guest today, Rick from Fextralife. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday with another fantastic individual. And if you wanted to check out any more content from this channel, make sure you tune in tomorrow for Bullsitting with me, Loke, Cozy Beluga, Matt Likes Game, and our special guest, Lord Cognito. Or not Lord Cognito, excuse me. It is a Lord, but Lord Addict. I appreciate everybody for coming through. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. This is your boy Ham Solo signing out and letting you know to keep it gaming or keep it moving. Peace out, y'all.